Meta's Muse Spark, the $14 billion betrayal of open-source AI. The official story. Meta just launched Muse Spark, its newest AI model, debuting under the leadership of former Scale AI CEO Alexander Wang. The company calls it a ground-up overhaul of its AI stack, a natively multimodal model that handles voice, text, and images. It ranks fourth on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, scoring 42.8 on HealthBench Hard, beating every other frontier model in medical reasoning. Meta positions this as proof that its massive AI investments are paying off. A new era for Meta AI, they say. But that framing conveniently omits the most important part of this story. What's actually happening? Follow the money and a very different picture emerges. In June 2025, Meta paid $14.3 billion for a 49% stake in Scale AI, valuing the data labeling company at $29 billion. The real prize wasn't the company, it was Alexander Wang himself. The 27-year-old prodigy who built Scale AI from a college dorm room into the backbone of AI training data for OpenAI, Google, and the Pentagon. Zuckerberg didn't buy a company. He bought a person. Wang left Scale AI's CEO role and became Meta's first-ever chief AI officer, leading the newly created Meta Superintelligence Labs. Jason Droge, the former Uber Eats founder who was Scale's chief strategy officer, stepped in as interim CEO. But the damage was already done. Google, OpenAI, and XAI, Scale AI's biggest customers, reduced or paused their contracts over data confidentiality concerns. By July 2025, Scale AI cut 200 employees and 500 contractors. By November, the CFO was publicly denying the company had become a zombie. Meta paid $14.3 billion, and Scale AI's biggest customers walked away. That's not an investment. That's an acquisition disguised as a minority stake. Then came the purge. In October 2025, Wang signed off on laying off approximately 600 people from Meta's AI unit. The cuts hit FAIR, Meta's legendary fundamental AI research lab, the crown jewel that Yann LeCun built. Product AI roles were slashed. An additional 200 jobs disappeared in April 2026. Wang's hand-picked team at TBD Labs was spared entirely. And now, the final piece, Muse Spark is proprietary. Closed source. Not open. Not Llama. For a company that built its entire AI identity on being the open-source champion, the company that released Llama and told the world that OpenAI was the future, this is a complete reversal. The Register's headline captured it perfectly. Meta's new model is as open as Zuckerberg's private school. The evidence trail. The numbers tell a story that Meta's press releases don't. Meta's 2025 capital expenditure on AI infrastructure, $70 to $72 billion, roughly 70% higher than 2024. The 2026 guidance from CFO Susan Li? Between $115 and $135 billion. Zuckerberg has committed to spending at least $600 billion on U.S. data centers and AI infrastructure by 2028, including a 1 gigawatt facility in Ohio and a Louisiana site projected to scale to 5 gigawatts. That's $600 billion. For context, that's more than the GDP of Sweden. Muse Spark itself scores 52 on the Intelligence Index version 4.0, placing it behind Gemini 3.1 Pro and GPT 5.4, tied at 57, and Claude Opus 4.6, 53. It's fourth place. Respectable, but not leading. Meta openly admits it trails rivals on coding benchmarks. But here's where the strategy reveals itself. Muse Spark completed the full evaluation using only 58 million output tokens, matching Gemini 3.1 Pro and far below Claude Opus 4.6's 157 million and GPT 5.4's 120 million. That efficiency metric matters enormously when you're running inference across 3.2 billion users on WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Messenger. The HealthBench hard score of 42.8, beating GPT 5.4's 40.1 and absolutely demolishing Gemini 3.1 Pro's 20.6, wasn't accidental. Meta collaborated with over 1,000 physicians to curate training data specifically for medical reasoning. They're targeting the $56 billion AI healthcare market, projected to reach $1.03 trillion by 2034 at a 43.96% compound annual growth rate. Why this framing serves them? Meta needs you to see Muse Spark as a technical achievement. A milestone. Proof that Zuckerberg's AI bet is working. Here's what they need you to not see. First, the open source Betrayal serves a financial purpose. Llama was a loss leader. Meta gave it away to undermine OpenAI and Google's paid API businesses. It worked. It eroded their moats. But now that Meta has extracted maximum strategic value from the open source play, they're closing the door. Wang's vague promise on X bigger models are already in development with plans to open source future versions is calculated ambiguity. The r/local Llama community saw through it immediately. Developer skeptics called it a placeholder, not a commitment. Second, the Alexander Wang acquisition is a talent play disguised as an investment. Meta didn't need Scale AI's technology. They needed Wang's expertise in training data curation, which is the real bottleneck in AI development. The 600 layoffs at Meta AI weren't cost-cutting, they were clearing the org chart for Wang's people. FAIR, the research lab that produced some of the most important papers in deep learning history, was gutted to make room for a product-focused operation. Third, the healthcare angle is a wedge strategy. Meta can't beat OpenAI or Anthropic on coding or reasoning benchmarks today. So they're carving out a vertical where they lead, medical AI, and using that as a beachhead to build credibility for enterprise deals. If you're a hospital system choosing an AI vendor, that HealthBench score matters more than any coding benchmark. Fourth, the efficiency numbers are the real competitive advantage. At 58 million tokens for a full evaluation versus 157 million for Claude, Meta can run Muse Spark at roughly one-third the inference cost. When your deployment surface is 3.2 billion users across 6 platforms including Ray-Ban smart glasses, cost per query is everything. What happens next? This is April 2026, and we're witnessing the most competitive period in AI history. 5 frontier-class models are within a few benchmark points of each other. DeepSeek version 3.2 delivers 90% of GPT 5.4's quality at 1/50th the cost. The moats are shrinking. Meta's play is clear, they're going to subsidize Muse Spark across their consumer platforms, free, embedded, inescapable, while building a paid enterprise tier anchored on healthcare and efficiency advantages. The open-source Llama community served its purpose. Now Meta needs revenue, not goodwill. Watch for 3 things in the next 90 days. First, the Scale AI implosion. With its biggest customers gone and its founder across town at Meta, Scale AI's runway is measured in quarters, not years. The "not a zombie" denial from the CFO in November was the tell. Second, Meta will announce enterprise API pricing that dramatically undercuts OpenAI and Anthropic. The efficiency advantage makes this viable. They'll target healthcare, financial services, and government sectors where accuracy matters more than creativity. Third, expect more layoffs at Meta AI. Wang is building his team, not inheriting one. The April 2026 cuts were round 2. There will be a round 3. The broader implication is more troubling. Meta spent a decade convincing the AI community that open source was the future. Researchers published papers. Startups built on Llama. Developers contributed to the ecosystem. All of that effort made Meta's AI better, faster, cheaper. And now that the foundation is built, the drawbridge goes up. This is the Embrace-Extend-Extinguish Playbook, perfected for the AI era. What you should do about it. If you're a developer who built on Llama, start planning your migration now. Wang's promise to open-source future versions is strategically vague. It could mean anything from a stripped-down base model to nothing at all. Don't bet your product on a company that just demonstrated it will change the rules when the math changes. If you're an investor, look at Meta's efficiency numbers, not its benchmark rankings. The token efficiency advantage is the story Wall Street hasn't priced in yet. Meta at one-third the inference cost of competitors, deployed across 3.2 billion users, is a fundamentally different business model than selling API access. If you're in healthcare, pay close attention. That HealthBench score isn't a marketing gimmick, it's backed by data from 1,000 physicians and 5,000 medical conversations. Meta is coming for the clinical AI market, and they're coming with the distribution advantage that no startup can match. And if you're at Scale AI, update your resume. The acqui-hire is complete. The patient is on life support. The $14.3 billion wasn't a vote of confidence in Scale AI's future. It was the purchase price for Alexander Wang's brain,